Hello, everyone. This is Bliss with Blissful Divination. If you are new to my channel, welcome to my channel. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Today, I'm going to ask the question, should Canada close its border to the United States? Canada has closed its borders to other affected countries, but they left the border open to the United States. So I'm curious to find out, should they close it? We will program the cards. We will program the man card to be the Canadian government. We will program the lion card to be the United States government. We will program the snake to be the COVID-19 virus. We will program the woman card to be the Canadian people. And we will program the lily card to be the Canadian healthcare system. Okay, so let's check it out. Its border to the U.S. Okay, let's set them up. Trying to get it in the camera view here. Trying to get better about that. Didn't work. Let's move those back up a little bit so I can get these last two cards. And here we go. Pay no attention to the background noise. My husband is trying to make food. At least we don't have the cat crawling across today. All right. So the theme of this reading, the filter by which we read this reading, is the anchor. Okay. So the anchor can stand for like the home, stuck in the past, patience in time, things like that. So in order for me to determine which exact meaning it is, I have to take a look at the next card that comes up. And we have the snake pop up as card number 2. So that's the COVID-19 virus. So basically, so far, we have the government is thinking about home. Right now, it might be stuck in the past. We don't know. We have some assumptions, but let's keep going. We have the love card, the heart. So it could be that because of Canada's compassion towards the C-19 virus, they may be leaving the border open so that people can go to work and come back and forth across the border, or people can get home. Let's keep looking. We have the lion card, which is the U.S. government. Maybe. Just look at the cards here. Maybe the Canadian government loves its relationship with the United States, and that might be a reason why they're not closing it. Let's look at the next card and see what it is. Talking. So this is about communication. So maybe the government has been in strict communication with the U.S. government, which I'm pretty sure that they have, about the COVID-19 virus, but it's a burden. When we look at it, when Canada is thinking about its home base, the Canadian people, they have a love for their people, but they really are concerned about the U.S. government. And we have the stork, which is traveling. So even though they left the border open, there is some concern and some talking about to travel back and forth, the traveling back and forth. Let's keep going. We get the fox. And the fox here is like, for me, it's some sneaky, underhanded type actions. So, let me come back to that one. It's the answer. Okay. So I'm feeling so far that they left the border open because of the U.S. government. They love their relationship with the U.S. government. They think that it's key to keeping business going so far. But they are concerned about traveling back and forth, and it is a burden to the Canadian government. Let's take a look here. We have the lilies, which we programmed to be the Canadian healthcare system. So it can be like they want to honor their relationship with the U.S. They don't want to alienate them, but they are concerned about the travel, putting a strain on the Canadian healthcare system through the spread. So this is the stars, and this is my card for things spreading, things moving out. So they love their relationship with the U.S. And it's some sneaky things like they're not saying that they're keeping it open for political reasons, basically. Money and opportunity, they want to keep the trade going. They don't want to alienate the United States, even though they are concerned about the COVID-19 virus spreading and putting a drain on the Canadian healthcare system. COVID-19. All right, we have... Yeah, there's a lot of worry about it. They're worried. They're concerned. There's anxiety about it. They're really worried about it because it feels like they know that this is a big issue because it's right next to the healthcare system of Canada. So yeah, there's a lot of concern about that. But there's also the economy to think about, Yeah, they're thinking about, they're worried about the U.S., about closing the border. It will cut ties with the U.S. because of who they have as president. You know what I mean? He's a petty guy, and he might see this as a lack of loyalty or betrayal, and then, he can run with it from there. Keep going. And we have the moon. The moon comes up next. So we know from the past, we know that this government, this current administration, is petty. And they will not forget. They will not forget what Canada does now. And that's the end of the story. We get the sun. So that's the end of the reading, basically, about why they won't close the border. So let's take a little bit Let's step back and take a look and see what we got going on here. So we have Canada. It's a burden to cut ties with them. The healthcare system is worried. It's doubly worried. Let's see. What's the talk? The talk is about money and opportunities. So they're communicating about that. That's trade. Money and opportunities, that would be talking about the trade situation. They're communicating about traveling back and forth. Let's see. Let's see the Canadian government, the House of the Canadian government. The Canadian government is sitting in its own house. So they're totally about themselves right now. What's in the House of the Canadian people? The Canadian people are sitting in their own house, so they're thinking about their own selves. So that's pretty interesting. So you have the government and the people facing each other. They are basically seeing eye to eye about the situation. They're not happy about it, but they know that for the Canadian economy, the Canadian people are thinking about home. How is this going to affect them at home? They're worried about the coronavirus. Rightfully so. That's pretty interesting. They're worrying about the healthcare system. The Canadian people are worried about the borders being open and how that's going to affect the healthcare system. And again, we said that the Canadian government is looking at trade. They're doubly looking at trade in the Canadian economy. Let's see. They feel like closing the border is not the answer. They know it's the answer, but yet because the U.S. is Canada's biggest trading partner, like they can't cut that tie. And that's interesting. What's on the mind of the Canadian government? Let's take a look here. They're looking at their commitments. They're looking at their contracts. That's what's on their mind. And as we said, the mind of the people are, our reputation, and what's happened in the past, so they look at that type of thing too. So, again, the Canadian government has its back on the spread. So even though they know that there are a lot of people who are not tested, a lot of people who can't afford to be tested, no access to testing, they turned their back on the spread of it spreading, which is interesting. So yeah, there we have it. The Canadian government, in my opinion, has not closed the borders to the U.S. because they are concerned about the economy and the trade. And they have to walk lightly with the U.S. government, the Trump administration, because look at them. They're doubly looking at trade too. So both governments are looking at trade. They're focused on the money and the opportunities. Egad. And they're worried about if they close the border, cut ties with each other for the time being, that's going to affect the trade. But it's a burden. It's a burden. The Canadian government doesn't want to do it, but they have to They have it's double uniting it. They cannot cut the trade because then there will be suffering for the Canadian people. I'm assuming due to, the virus because it's here, but also through trade. It's going to be, like I said, the healthcare system is thinking about being overburdened, and they're worried about it. So that's what I have about that question. Um, Sometimes I feel like it all leads back to money. It all leads back to money. And it can't it's my thoughts is that yeah, you may help with the economy and keep things going, but then what about the toll on the Canadian healthcare system because people are having community transmission. We're doing all these different tactics in all these different countries with social distancing, and all of the social distancing and trying to flatten the curve is so that a country doesn't have a massive spike of cases and thereby people don't get ventilators, or if they need them, or they start to make life or death situations about who gets to get what. So there's it's a complicated thing. But I will come back in future videos with more questions. So thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe. So have a great day, guys.